Hello my lovelies, welcome to my little cottage by the sea, the place where I love to stitch and craft my way to a vintage inspired and sustainable lifestyle. I recently had the huge honour of being invited to take part in Love Sewing magazine's feature on DIY Vampire's Wife dresses, and it was just really lovely to be in amongst all these other Vampire's Wife DIYers. So in today's episode I thought I would share some of my favourite Vampire's Wife dress collection with you. If you spend any time with me here in my little cottage by the sea, you will know that I'm ever so slightly addicted to pattern cutting and sewing my own versions of this iconic dress by Cate, the designer of The Vampire's Wife. I'm calling this episode an ode to the Vampire's Wife, as it really is a bit of a love affair. So without further ado, let's dive into my Vampire's Wife dress collection and begin. I often refer to my Vampire's Wife Pinterest board for inspiration, and as I say in the Love Sewing article, Cate's dresses speak of the gothic and hammer horror, as well as the vintage fit and flair that is ever so flattering. My first version is this Schiaparelli pink Needlecord from Walthamstow Market a million moons ago. Unfortunately, I sewed it with vintage thread, so it's melting away. I must repair it so that I can wear it again because I really do love it, and there is a video for this one. Needlecord versions of this dress are so wearable. I'd like to make a dusky pink one maybe, and most definitely a black one to add to my collection. I found this 1950s faux fur coat on a recent treasure hunt, and I just love it styled with my Vampire's Wife dresses. It put me in mind of Blade Runner's Rachel. Incidentally, Blade Runner is my all-time favourite film. Then I made this version with short puff sleeves out of a lovely floral rose and hubble poplin. I think it has to be my most worn dress from this summer, Vampire's Wife or otherwise. I made a matching collar using my best collar sewing pattern, which is available from my shop as either a PDF or a paper pattern. Detachable collars are a fabulous way of changing up the look of a dress, and I have quite a bit of this fabric waiting to be used. Recently, I've become quite obsessed with Pierrot clowns, so maybe a very puffly Pierrot collar would be just the thing, and I'm thinking that I might just do a little tutorial about it, either here on YouTube or over on my journal. On the same treasure hunting trip, I found this lush Bowden cardigan with puffed blouse on sleeves and a delicious amount of ruffles, perfect for wearing over the Vampire's Wife statement sleeves. It's always tricky to layer these dresses, so I was pleased to buy this piece and bring it home. Another best collar sewn from vintage lace silk, velvet millinery flowers from the 30s, and some of my nan's pearls from a broken necklace. I definitely need that black needle cord version, don't I? Or maybe velvet to wear with this collar. It would just look so wonderful. I made this version, again from a Rose and Hubble floral poplin, to wear to a friend's wedding, and there's a video for this sewing project which I'll link. I love the sleeves on this one, and they're great for wearing my thermals under. My little cottage by the sea does get arctically cold in those winter months. I made this simple ruffle collar to match the Vanessa collar as a tutorial for my lovely patrons as a bonus project, so head over to Tara Stitch Coven on Patreon if you'd like to make something like this for yourself. The remaining dresses in my collection are all exact copies in terms of the pattern cutting of actual Vampire's Wife dresses rather than versions of. So what this means is that they have the vintage French dart, which gives you that really pointy shelf bust, and it also means that you get the exact silhouette, proportion and fit as actual Vampire's Wife dresses. I have shared very detailed step-by-step tutorials for pattern cutting this fairy tale iconic dress over on my Patreon in April of 2023, and so if you would like to pattern cut an exact replica really of this dress, then Tara Stitch Coven over on Patreon really is the place to head to. I made this pink gingham version with a lower neckline and ruffles galore to wear in the summer, and I call it my Barbie meets the Vampire's Wife dress. I don't actually wear it very often, as I think it would have been better proportionally as a full-length dress, and as it's in a poly cotton, it doesn't feel as nice as my others against the skin. This floral version is very Liberty, but actually it's Rose and Hubble again. They do the loveliest florals, I think, and their poplin is always very good and washable in the machine. I wear this version a lot and created net shoulder poofles to keep my shoulder puffles erect. The Vampire's Wife used a lot of vintage couture techniques in their dresses, which just adds to the charm to my mind, and I replicate these as far as I can in my handmade versions. And another version, exactly the same as the last, but in a dark floral. Again, this is one of my most worn dresses of all time. I made this version with the sleeves of Vampulosity, as one of my lovely patrons named them, for a party, and I have never felt so much like a princess in a dark castle before. The fabric is a vintage jacquard, really meant for nightwear and intimates, but I love the silky drape and lustre of the cloth. I'm loving this dress styled with my new vintage coat and favourite 1940s evening bag. A trip to the opera house is in order, I feel. And these last 3 dresses are probably my favourite Vampire's Wife style dresses that I've made. I feel truly magical whenever I wear these dresses, and like all magical objects, when I wear these dresses, extraordinary and magical things do tend to happen. This is one of my favourite fabrics that I have ever found, and I'm sure you can't guess why. I added a neck ruffle on this version, and I do feel like I'm living my best life when I'm wearing my vintage Kitties dress. I made a Hearts a Flutter ruffle bag to match, another Patreon project from I think last year. And this is a 1950s barkcloth I picked up at a local fair, and I just adore it. It's the version pictured in the Love Sewing magazine article, and I love how even though this is practically the same version of the dress as the last one, it has a whole different personality, vintage but edgy. I like to style my Vampire's Wife dresses with a floofy white cat and shoes like my Nana Deighton used to wear. Both of these pairs are Clark's and are much loved. I tend to stuff my shoes with tissue paper to help keep the shape and to make them last. Garment care is the first rule of sustainability. This final, most recent version is the Cate style dress in a Liberty Wiltshire Berries print. I'm not sure it's as flattering on me as it has a straighter silhouette, but I love it nonetheless. This was rather an involved pattern cutting and sewing project that I shared with my coven over on Patreon, and I'll definitely be making another soon. This one has epic shoulder poofles, so I was pleased to find this Brora cashmere cardigan in Schiaparelli pink for a mere £4.99. No flaccid shoulder poofles for me, and I can keep warm and toasty. I could never afford Vampire's Wife dresses or Brora cashmere in reality, so I'm very glad to be able to thrift for and pattern cut and sew my dream wardrobe. For what would life be without puffles and poofles and cashmere, oh my. I'm off to a party this evening, and the question now is, which of my Vampire's Wife dresses should I wear? I'm sure that I will be adding more Vampire's Wife style dresses to my wardrobe because it's just such a wonderful way of using beautiful fabric, and I really do feel that you can wear these dresses anywhere, and I always feel amazing when I wear them, especially as because I've pattern cut them to my bespoke blocks, they fit incredibly well. I hope you've enjoyed seeing my handmade Vampire's Wife collection of dresses today. It would be very difficult for me to choose which is my favourite. It changes all the time and just depends on my mood, I suppose. But if I'm in a bad mood and I put on one of these dresses, I'm immediately uplifted. I hope you found something to interest and inspire you in this episode today. And as always, I really do appreciate you taking the time to spend the time with me. And I'm ever grateful for all your kindness and your support, especially those of you who press the super thanks button throughout October. I cannot ever thank you enough for your generosity. I have some fabulous sewing projects coming up, so I hope that until then you keep safe and well, and I shall see you next time. Bye.